All right, so welcome to another call, y'all. So, I was just talking to y'all before we started the recording about creating a schedule for yourself as business owners, right? So, what you really want to do, I work 3 days a week. I work Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and I choose to work on Friday sometimes based off of, what I have going on, during the course of the week. When I say work, I'm talking about real estate. I'm talking about my coaching business, any and everything that I have to do is done in 3 days. I'll make an exception sometimes if a coaching student can't get on the line, Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. Like sometimes I'll jump on the phone with y'all on Fridays, right? Or Saturday or something like that. But I generally don't like to do nothing on Saturday and Sunday and Tuesdays. And I'll leave Friday optional. And that's by design, right? I like to spend a lot of time with my family. And like I told you before we jumped on the line, I like to work out. I like to play video games, stuff like that. I like to do leisurely stuff. So at the end of the day, you literally could create your own reality in this business, right? You can tell yourself, okay, I'm going to work these 3 days, and on the other days, I want to take off. And the reason that works for me is because I'm able to delegate. I'm at a point in my business where I've been in a point in my business where I was able to hire out to be able to compensate for the time that I'm not putting into the business. So when you start making money and you start, it's 5 of y'all. So you have like four of y'all, right? I'm looking at the screen. I'm looking at 5. But since it's 4 of y'all, you can kind of create a schedule wrapped around that. But definitely start thinking about it. It's probably too early in your business to do that right now. Like when I first started at work, Zadik, he'll tell you, when he was a kid, I worked literally like 10 years every single day. Remember? I was working every single day for like 8 to 10 years, all through my 20s. People start having fun when they're in their 20s and stuff like that. I was working, and by the time I was 30, I was able to start pulling back off of it, right? And that was because I didn't know what I was doing. You could do it a lot quicker, but the whole point of me bringing this up is you want to design your business around the way you want to live your life, not the other way around. Your business doesn't control you, right? You control the business. So if you could put dedicated time in on the days that you do work, that'll alleviate the time that you have to put in, which is 0 time on the days that you don't work, right? So like me, if you want to work out every morning like I do, even on the days that I do work, I only work a few hours a day, right? So I'm working from 12 to maybe like 4. Right now, I consider this to be a part of my working day. That's why I said, let's do 12 o'clock. That was by design. When I spoke to you, I work out in the morning. That's my time, right? If I have an appointment with a contractor, if I have an appointment to speak to a seller or something like that, I tell them what time I'm available, not the other way around, right? So you design your business around your lifestyle, all right? So we could go a lot deeper into that later on. When you're ready for that, we'll have a full discussion of that. But today, I really wanted to follow up with y'all in regards to the phone calls that you were going to make. And in addition to that, we're going to talk about the deal that, fell through, but then you picked up another deal. And also, there was one other thing I wanted to discuss with y'all. And that was in regards to, let me just pull it up. That was in regards to finding buyers for the existing deal. So let's talk about this for a moment, right? So let's start off with talking about the results from your phone calls from last week. So we were supposed to make how many calls? Anybody remember? 1,000 phone calls, right? That's a lot of calls, right? Between 4 of y'all, that's really not a lot of calls. So you made 250 phone calls a piece. Who was able to make 250 phone calls? Raise your hand. Who made 250 phone calls?
We didn't get to skip trace the whole 1,000 list. We only got 750, and we split the 750 4 ways, only because you had to pay for the skip trace, and we didn't have all the funds available at the time. So we didn't get the full 1,000, but we did get the 750.
Well, that's dedication then, right? So you made a sacrifice. You didn't have all the funds. You collectively made it to got the 750 as a team. Now, from 1,000 leads, you're not ever going to get an entire 1,000 leads skip traced. You're going to get a percentage of that, maybe like 70%, 75, 80%. So realistically, if you skip trace 1,000 leads, you're probably going to end up with 700 to 800 leads anyway, which is about what you came out with, right?
Oh, it came out with like 6 something.
So so you didn't have all the funds to do this, the whole 1,000. So you did 750, and then it narrowed it down to about 80% of that, right?
Yeah,
that was about right. So first off, I got to commend y'all for making a sacrifice in your business. I know it's hard being young. I remember when I was 19, 20, 21, I had $250 in my name. I had to make some things happen, right? So that's the first thing. You got to be commended because you made the sacrifice. You dedicated something to your business. So now you have some skin in the game, right? Even though it was probably cost y'all $40, $50 or something like that.
Yeah,
right? It wasn't a lot, right? But it's a lot to you when you don't have a lot. You know what I mean? So that's common. You got to get some commendation for that first, because that just shows that you want to do this and you're willing to sacrifice. Even if it's a little bit, it might be a little bit to me, but it's a lot to you. That was a big sacrifice to pull up $40. You could have did anything with that money, right? So first and foremost, you got to commend yourself for that. Second, did you get through the entire list of phone calls? So how many?
I think there was.
Yeah, 600 and something, and you split it between each other, right? So what was the total? Tell me what the total amount of leads were.
We had 647, I believe.
647. Before I talk about this, there's one more thing I want to mention, and we did not talk about this on a previous training. Eventually, I'm gonna need y'all to set up a business. The reason I'm not having y'all set up a business right now is because of the financial reasons, right? It's gonna cost you, $50 to $100 to set up a business in Pennsylvania. I believe it's $50 to set up an LLC. Last time I did it, before I transferred over to North Carolina. You're gonna need to do that and set up a business bank account and get an EIN number. I need you guys to start thinking about this stuff in the beginning while you're still new to the business, so that you can start building up your business credit now, and you'll have the extra money to be able to fund the business. All right. So because when you have business credit, if you get business credit lines, let's say you get $10,000 in business credit lines, you get paid the minimum every month, but still fund your business. So it'll speed things up for you. Okay. So this is something that we did not cover. And it's something I was holding off on covering because you guys, I know you're limited on capital at the moment. But at least start considering saving up. Maybe it's for y'all, $25 a piece, $100 could get you set up. All right. So it could get you in Pennsylvania, it could get you the LLC set up. And then you can get your bank account. Once you get the bank account, the EIN number is free. You get that from the IRS because you got to file taxes. Right. And then from there, once you do that, then we could start getting the business credit set up. And that's going to be really easy. Business credit, it'll take you 3 months to build a paydex score. Once you get the paydex score, you can start going for larger lines and you'll be able to fund real estate a lot easier that way. So just start considering that. And maybe within the next 2 weeks or so, maybe 2 weeks to a month, we could get that set up. All right. If you're watching this as a spectator on YouTube, one of the first things, if you have the means to do it, one of the first things you need to do is get your business set up. All right. If you are interested in my coaching program, I walk you through how to get your business set up. That's one of the first things we do. I walk you through building business credit, and then I walk you through marketing and things like that to start driving leads. All right. So it really is a step-by-step process. I don't take on everybody as a coaching client, but I do hand select a few people who are motivated, truly motivated to get started. And it's not free, but it is worth it if you're looking to get started in real estate as a whole. It's not free because it takes up a lot of time to work with people. All right. So with that being said, if you're interested in the coaching program, I'm going to leave a link in the description box of this video, and you can go ahead and check it out. But back to what we were talking about today with you guys. So just consider that, because we are gonna need to get that set up as quickly as possible, at least within the next month. All right. So it's going to drain you a little bit, but it's going to be worth it on the other end. So you had 647 leads that you were working with after the skip trace, right? All right. So 647. How much did that skip trace cost you? 10 cents a lead, something like that?
It was 10 cents a house.
So you spent about $65, right? So first things first, whenever you spend money, who's in charge of the financials?
I am.
Esau.
All right. So what I need you to do is create a spreadsheet of the expenses that you guys are accumulating as a business. All right. And share it with everybody on like a Google Drive. Just create a spreadsheet and create a date column and an expense column, and categorize what the expenses are. So just those 3 columns is fine. So what you're going to do is put the date that you spent money. You're going to put what the amount of the expense was, and then categorize it. All right. So you spent money on skip tracing on, let's just say, whatever date it was, and it was $65 or $64.70 or whatever it was. You need to do that to keep your accounting straight, so that you know how much money you're spending. And once you have your accounting straight, you can really gauge, okay, if I spent this much money, it's called KPIs, key performance indicators, right? If you know how much you need to spend in order to make a certain amount of money, that's going to help you. But in addition to that, it's also going to allow you to know what you're writing off at the end of the year. So if you make, let's just say, $100,000 this year, as a team, if you spent, $30,000 to make the $100,000, then you're going to pay taxes on $70,000. You understand what I'm saying? And out of that 70, by the time you split it up and take deductions and stuff like that, you're probably not going to pay much in taxes at all. That's the benefit of owning a business over doing this as a sole proprietor or an individual. When you have a business set up, you get larger tax write-offs. Okay. So I can make $1 million this year, and somebody else can earn $1 million at a job. They're going to pay way more taxes than me, because I'm doing it through a business and they're doing it as an employee. All right. Same thing with $100,000. I can make $100,000 next month. Somebody else can make $100,000 next month. If they're an employee, they're going to pay way more in taxes than me. So even if you have a job, this is a little hack for everybody who has a job and you're watching this on YouTube right now. Create an LLC and make the job pay your LLC. You'll pay less in taxes that way. You know what I mean? So I don't care if you work at McDonald's, create an LLC. There's a tax write-off to create an LLC as well. And make the job pay your entity rather than you. Don't ever take money payment yourself, because you're going to pay way more in taxes. Talk to your accountant about that. I'm not an accountant, but I just know a little bit of game, and I'm trying to pass it on. All right. So 647 leads. Out of 647 leads, you divided that by 4. Somebody got a calculator? What's the number?
We just kept going 50s. Like everybody get the first 50, this 50. Next person get that 50 calls.
Okay.
This person get that 50 calls.
So y'all did calls of 50? Yeah. And were you able to accomplish the entire 647 leads together? Collectively?
I don't think we did.
How many calls did you make?
I mean,
Together, I'm not sure.
Together?
Collectively.
Because collectively, I did 75 by myself.
You did 75.
Yeah.
I did.
Okay.
I did like 60 something.
60. What was the exact number? We need exact numbers.
Probably like 63.
63. All right. What else?
I did 56.
56. All right. What else? What you got, Ish?
I know I did more than 50. I don't know the exact number though, because I finished my 50 and then I took a couple more. So I want to say that give me like 50, 55, 54 around there.
Say 55. So who got a calculator? 75 plus 63 is what?
138.
Plus 56 is what?
194.
Plus 55 is what?
249.
All right. So let's say you call 249. So there's still 400 leads to call up. So why weren't you able to make all of the calls?
When we first started, we tried to do the fast people search, but we noticed that a lot of because I did like most of my calls with the fast people search, but we realized that the fast people search wasn't as accurate. A lot of the people I was calling were either the numbers weren't even active. I had a lady call me back and she hasn't even lived in the property for like over 2 years and she wasn't in like the state. After we did the skip trace, a lot of the numbers, like there weren't that many numbers, but the ones that did have phone numbers with,
They were in service and stuff.
when we called them, like it was like some of the same issues, but like a lot of people didn't even answer as well. So I just need some of those to call me back because I left them a voicemail, but they just hasn't reached back.
Now, when we say phone calls, let me clarify something. Are you guys talking about connections, actually talking to people, or are we just talking about dialing the numbers?
So I had probably I had less than 10 people answer the phone. And
perfect.
And
all right.
half.
So that answers my question. So basically, you're just picking up. These are dialed on 249 dialed numbers, right? So give and take, you made about 50 calls a day collectively, right? Give and take. If you did it for 5 days, you made about 250 phone calls. You did about 50 calls. All right. So that's fine. All right. I just needed some numbers so I know, what the results were. So out of the 249, it took some time for you to figure out, okay, because obviously you're on a budget. So you needed to, you try to do the fast people search. I'm sure that took up a lot of time. So you decided to skip trace it. So it all makes sense now. Okay. So when you skip trace, I'm sure things sped up for you a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, perfect. So 249 calls. You made, let's call it 250, round it up. You made about 50 calls, 62 and a half calls each. Let's just say, round it off. 62 and a half times. So what's 250 divided by 4?
It is 125
divided by 4 should be 62 and a half, right?
Yeah, it's 62 and a half. Yeah.
62 and a half each, right? So you call 62, about 62 people, 63 people each. Okay. So what I'm going to need for y'all to do now is ramp that up. All right. Let's ramp that up to, I'm not even going to make it easy for you. Let's do 100 calls each. There's 400 leads left. Let's do 100 calls each in the next week. Okay. How hard was it for you to make 62 calls? How many hours did it take for you to do that?
When I'm not answering, it didn't take that long.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's put a timer on it. Like, how much time do you feel like it took for you to make 62 and a half calls?
For me, it probably took. So when I did my first 50, it probably took me anywhere for like making the actual calls, probably like 35 minutes, but it took more time finding the actual numbers and
right
getting the right.
So So that's why, and again, for everybody watching this, if you're on a budget, it's going to take you more time. I talk about it all the time, right? You're going to sacrifice one of two things. It's either going to be time or money, right? If you sacrifice time because you don't have a lot of money, then it's going to take you longer to make things happen. This is a prime example of how much time it can take to find a deal if you don't have a lot of money, right? And the reason I'm saying that it takes up time is because you got things like skip tracing. You got to sit there and dial phone numbers, things like that. When you skip trace, it speeds the time up because you put a little bit of money into it. Even if you were to send out a postcard mailer, now you're attacking everybody at one time versus calling, one-off numbers. So these are just things that you want to keep in mind. You're going to sacrifice one or two things. It's going to be time or money. So you got to look at your position, and then you got to say, okay, I'm able to put in more time, but I realize it's going to take a little bit more time to get it done. All right. Don't quit. You just got to keep it going. This is all part of the process. All right. So it took you more time. So it took you said 35 minutes or so. So collectively, I called for about 2, maybe 3 hours as a team. All right. So now I want you to double that. I want you to double that this week. All right. Who can double that this week and make 100 phone calls?
Yeah.
Everybody. This is yours, right? So this is for you.
We can do it.
You could definitely do it right now, especially. It's not even going to take you that much time because you got the numbers. Now, we're not worrying about the disconnected numbers. We just want to pound the numbers. Just pick up and dial, right? Just pick up and dial. All right. Now, what I want you to do is segment the disconnect. I want you, as you're making these phone calls, create a spreadsheet for yourself through Google Drive, which everybody can have access to. I want you to use red as a disconnected, like highlight the line red if it's disconnected. And you're creating what's called a CRM right now. This is a low budget CRM just to organize your business. If you don't know what a CRM is, it's called a customer relationship management software or whatever you want to call it, right? So we're just creating a CRM. Low budget. You don't need to spend any money. Zadik, you have access to a CRM already. You should be using this with the team. It's my Investor Deal Pro. My Investor Deal Pro software, right? So you could even use that if you wanted to. But to make things easier when you're calling, what I want you to do is use the spreadsheet and then transfer the leads into the Investor Deal Pro software when you get leads. All right. Keep track of everything on the spreadsheet though. Okay. And then transfer the actual leads. So you got two things. You got a prospect, you got a suspect, and then you got a prospect. A suspect is somebody that you're picking up the phone and calling. That's who's going to remain on that spreadsheet that I'm talking about. Then you have a prospect. That's somebody who you were able to talk to. Either you're going to follow up with them. They gave you information and waiting on an offer. You had some type of communication with them, right? If they're not ready to sell, you can always, that's somebody that you can add into the Investor Deal Pro software as well, right? But you had some type of communication with them, and now they're going to be moved into the system. All right. So I want you to use on a spreadsheet when you're talking to suspects. I want you to use a red like highlight. You know how you highlight the line on a spreadsheet. Highlight it red if the numbers aren't working. Highlight it yellow if you've spoken to somebody and they're just not interested in selling, right? And highlight it green if you moved it over to the CRM system, the Investor Deal Pro software. All right. Now with the reds, what I want you to do, remember those numbers. You got a question? Issa?
Yeah, I got a question. You said the people that aren't ready to sell, but like they're still like kind of interested, that they go in the CRN as well, right?
Yeah, because you can
green section?
you're gonna treat the yellows as follow-ups, basically. You know what I mean?
All right, thank you.
Unless they tell you, look, the house sold or remove me from your list, they're either gonna be yellow or green. You understand? If the line is disconnected, that's completely red. If they say remove me from the list, just highlight them red, and you can highlight them a different color. Let's use like an orange color, and those would be to remove from the lists, so you know not to contact them again. Okay. So that's how I want you to organize it. The people that are red with a disconnected phone number, I want you guys to put those to the side, because you're going to write what's called a yellow letter to those people. I'm going to give you a yellow letter template. So collectively as a team, who has the best handwriting?
My handwriting is terrible.
All right, so Zadik is probably going to be responsible for it. It's going to be a lot of letters to write. I ain't going to lie to you. But we're going to find an easier way to get it done once we cross that bridge. Okay. But if you can't get them on the phone, you're going to send them a letter and make them call you. You understand? Okay. So we're going to work these leads thoroughly. This is not a one-off thing. You got to farm these leads. And when I say farm them, that means that you're going to plant the seeds, you're going to nurture the seeds, you're going to cultivate it, you're going to make it grow. You understand what I'm saying? When you farm, you basically plant it and you nurture it until the thing grows into something. That's what you're going to do with these leads. You got to farm the leads. So
I got a question.
You pick up you pick up the phone.
No,
that's one connection. You can't get them on the phone, you dial a phone number. You can't you can't get them on the phone, you send them a letter. They don't answer your letter, you keep sending them letters until they call you. After a certain period of time, if they don't contact you, you find out where they live, you go knock on their door. Right? You have to be aggressive. This is how you get deals. What was your question?
So I remember in the beginning, before the team, you told me about Google Voice. Did you still want us to use that?
So I want you to set up because Google Voice is free. So I want you to utilize, you got to think longevity too, right? Because you're going to be marketing. But the good thing about a Google Voice is you can forward it to another number, right? So you don't have a lot of money to spend right now. So use Google Voice as your incoming phone number for now. All right.
Okay.
So you need to set up a Google Voice account. Now, I remember y'all had a business name. You could use, your business name at gmail.com for now. Like, okay, we buy PA houses at Gmail. I'm just throwing a name out there. And then you just set up a Google Voice under that number. You understand?
Okay. Yes, sir.
So definitely set that up. But for now, I want you to structure things that way. And let's break down the numbers now. So out of 249 leads that you called, I know 249 leads is not enough. You need to hit as many people as possible. So how many connections did you get? How many people did you actually speak to out of 249 leads?
I spoke to 4.
You spoke to 4. Esau, you spoke to how many?
7.
7, that's 11. Ishmael?
Spoke to 6.
6. So what's that? 11 and 6 is 17. How many you spoke to, Zadik?
I don't remember the exact number, but it was definitely less than 10. So
give me a number.
Probably like 6.
So 6. So what's that? 17 and 6 is what? 23. Right? So out of 249 leads, you got about a 10% connection ratio. So that should tell you something. So now we're going to talk about the results in a minute, but I want you guys to understand where we're going with this. So you called 250 people, you got about a 10%, a little shy of 10% connection ratio, right? So 249, you got 23 on the line. So if you call 1,000 people, that should tell you you're going to get 100, right? You're going to see a pattern with this all the time. Now, out of the 23, how many of them were interested in selling?
I didn't have any that were interested.
You got 0?
0.
Lisa? 0, Raven?
I had one that said like maybe later on,
okay,
but not at the moment.
So you got 1 follow-up, and Zadik?
I had 2 that said maybe later on.
So you got 3 total.
Actually, I don't know if this would count. I did one of the houses was owned by a realtor, so they said that they would add me to their list for like other houses that they are going to be selling. So
that's a connection. That's a network. That's a network. Perfect. Okay. So they're not necessarily interested in selling, but you made a relationship out of that, right?
Yep.
So with that being said, you got 3. Let's just call it 3. So notice the pattern here, right? You got 249 leads. You got a 10% of them actually picked up, and you got 3 follow-ups. So that's another 10%. Right? So really it's 1% of the 249 that you called. So now you got something that you could build off of. All right. So now you need to speak to, so you obviously weren't able to make offers because nobody was really interested in selling right now, right? Which is okay, but you got some numbers now. You expect 1%. So you call 1,000 people, you're expecting 10 of them to be interested in selling either now or in the future, right? So what does that tell you? You got to call a lot of people in order to be able to make this happen, right? If you got 10, you really need 15 to 20 offers to make a deal. So now we got to ramp it up. We got to ramp these numbers up. So I want you to call 400 people this week, 100 a piece. So we're going to double up. So now if you got 400 people, you should be getting 40 on a line, and 4 of them should be in some way interested in selling, because now you're going to go from 650 leads, 65 connections, and 6.5 to 7 people that you actually spoke to who might be interested in selling or not. And let's see what the result is. If those numbers are true next week, you should see a pattern, right? And I want you guys to start focusing on that. All right. As soon as you have a hot lead, let me know, and we're going to take it from there. So that covers the results from your phone calls from the first week. That's how you do cold calling, right? You already know what to do. You got the scripts, you know what to say and everything. And you started building that follow-up. So now you got 3 people that you followed up on, that you have to follow up on. I want you to add those 3 people to the Investor Deal Pro CRM, and mark it down to contact them every month. We're going to send them a letter or a postcard every single month, indefinitely, right? And that 3 is going to grow to 100. That 100 is going to grow to 1,000. Is going to grow to 10,000. You understand how this thing works? You snowballing it into a big marketing campaign that's going to eventually pay off. You know, you putting in the work now, it might not seem like a lot, but believe me, it's going to turn into something. This is how you farm leads. All right. So that's 1. So in addition to that, I need you guys to make the rest of those phone calls, and we'll follow up with those on our next call. Okay.
Okay.
Now, with that being said, you also have, I wanted to talk to you about, let me just see what else was on our list to talk about today. All right. So 2 things. We had a lead, and for those of you who saw the previous videos that we put out on YouTube, episode 5, episode 6, you'll see that while we were doing market research, we found a really good lead that the team went out. They had contractors come out. They actually saw the lead. They made an offer. The realtor didn't want to present the offer to the seller. So the seller pulled the house off the market. And then I taught the team how to circumvent that, go directly to the seller since the house was off the market at that time. And they spoke to the seller, and the seller was willing to do, we found out that the seller was willing to do seller financing on that house with $10,000 down, right? Which we could have turned into a deal. And, unfortunately, the seller sold the day we were actually going to be moving forward on that deal, which was a couple of days ago. But he has another property and he is kind of the same situation. It's $20,000 more, but he still needs the $10,000 down. So first and foremost, let's talk about how to structure this deal. This can be a good wholesale deal for you since you guys don't have $10,000 to put down. All right. Here's what I want you to do. Whenever you find a deal, write this down. Whenever you find a deal, the first thing I need you to do is run comparable sales. You guys know how to do that already, right? You find like and kind properties. I taught you how to do that. Run comparable sales. Whenever you have a hot lead, period, somebody on the phone, a realtor, anybody, or if it's a realtor, get the comps from the realtor. If it's a hot lead on the phone, I need you to run comparable sales. You could do that in the Investor Deal Pro software. Just type in the address, and then it's going to provide you with the value, the potential value. All right. So run comps. The next thing I need you to do is get a contractor's estimate. So you see where we're going with this? I didn't tell you guys this before. I just had you do it. Now I'm explaining it to you so you have a vision of what we're actually doing. So there's two things you need, right? You need comps and you need a contractor's estimate. You don't always have to get a contractor's estimate as you gain more experience. But because you guys are brand new, I want you to get an idea of what a contractor would charge you to put a certain amount of work into the property. All right. Once you get used to it, you're going to know how to run these numbers yourself. Right now, there's another way to run the numbers. It's based on square footage, but that's a little, you can do square footage multiplied by a certain amount. And that's how I came up with my estimate on that property without even seeing it. And my numbers, would you agree that my numbers were pretty right in line with what the contractor was gonna charge you to get it done anyway? What I said, 50,000, and the contractor came back at what? 50,000, right? Because I use the square footage approach, but that's a little more. I'll teach you that. I don't want to teach it to you right now. I'll teach you that later on. If you want to see how I do it, I do have a video on YouTube. Matter of fact, if you're watching this, I'll pop it up at the top for you. All right. So I want you guys to run comps. I want you guys to get contractors' estimates. You have a contractor on your team that's willing to provide estimates now, right? Okay, yeah. Perfect. And then once we have those two numbers, another thing I need you to understand is, or know, is if the seller is willing to do some type of seller financing. So even though if you have the ability to make a cash offer, will the seller do seller financing at all, or lease option, right? If you have those numbers there, I can help you structure any deal. Okay. So those are the four things that you need to know all the time, in addition to all those questions that's on my seller questionnaire. All right. And if you notice, those four questions are on that seller questionnaire. The other questions is just fluff to get, the conversation started and not seem so direct with the conversation. Okay. Those are rapport building questions. Okay. So talking about this new deal. Now, Raven, you got some numbers here. You said the seller was asking how much money on it?
They were asking like 65,000 for it.
65,000. He wants $10,000 down.
Yep.
So the price, and this is down, and he's willing to do seller financing on it, obviously, yep. And we can structure something with that. Now, here's what I want for you guys to do. Do you know how much the property is worth? How much work the property needs?
I didn't. I couldn't see the inside. So depending on what we were gonna say we're gonna do today, I was gonna see about going to get a showing. He offered, but I just want to see what we're doing today. Perfect.
So two things I want you to do, and we want to move with speed on this. So you guys are learning as you're going, right? What you're doing is you're learning how to talk to people. You're learning how to network with people, and we are making offers as we go, right? What I want you to do is set up an appointment to see the property as soon as possible. Bring your contractor with you, okay? And if you look in the Investor Deal Pro software, Zadik, there's a repair estimator in there. So if you could get like if you could just type in what needs to be done in the house, there's a sheet that you could print out in the software. You could check box what needs to be done, or you can even do it right on your phone, right? You pull up the software on your phone, walk through the house and say, okay, this needs to be done, that needs to be done, yada, 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 right?
Okay.
Walk through the house, write down everything that needs to be done, bring your contractor with you, get a contractor's estimate, right? So if for example, if the kitchen is old, say we need to replace the cabinets, rate the cabinets from like a 1 to a 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Do that throughout the entire house, right? You're always going to need fresh paint. You're always going to need some flooring done. Rate how old the kitchen cabinets are. Would you want to live there? You know what I mean? The same thing in a bathroom, you know. Just walk through the house. How bad is the roof? You know, rate it from 1 to a 5. You probably can't tell right now, but ask your contractor when you're talking to them or when you're walking through the house with a contractor, ask them, say, how bad do you think that roof is? How bad do you think these kitchen cabinets are? Right? Do you think I need to replace them, or do you think we can refinish them? Right? Things like that is what you need to be asking. That leak over there, that looks worse than what it really is, obviously, but how bad do you think that is? Do you think there's a mold behind there? Right? Just ask these types of questions. Just get an idea of what's going through the contractor's mind. You're curious, right? And it's okay to be curious. That's how you learn, to ask questions. All right. But I want you guys to set up an appointment to see the property as soon as possible. And I want you to get comps on the property. All right. Now, I'm going to speed things up just a little bit. And I'm actually going to pull up the property in the Investor Deal Pro software. Let me just do this real quick. And the reason I want to do this is for time purposes, but I still want you to go out and get it done. All right. So let me just share my screen with you real fast. Give me the property address.
All right, 1 second. Let me find it. It is 24 North 20th Street in Harrisburg.
And don't worry about it, because by the time this video comes out, we're gonna know what's up with the property anyways, right? We're either gonna have it on the contract or closing on it or something, right? So just with that being said, right here, when you log in, you see I typed in, just let me backtrack for you. Well, I don't want to go that far back. I'm just going to go here. You see I typed the property address in right here. All right. So it was 24 North 20th Street in Harrisburg, right? Let's click on search. And then once I click on that, you'll see I'll have the ability to run comps right here, see comparables. So it's giving me a summary of the property right here. Absentee owner, cash buyer, free and clear. That's where he falls under. Here's the owner's name. Here's his mailing address. Same guy from the other property, right? His name is Joseph. Right?
No, it's not actually Joseph, actually.
What's
his name? Is Chris.
Chris.
Yeah.
Okay. Does he have a business partner?
Oh, no, not that I'm aware of. He said that he has like his own, like he does his own thing. He has people that work for him. I'm not sure if he has a partner.
He actually might be a wholesaler.
Yeah, because he did say he sells for other people. He has
he's a wholesaler then. So that's why Joseph. All right, so let me do something real fast before we even dive into this. Give me the property address of the other one on the other street.
40 Baum.
40 Baum Street.
I want to see something real fast.
The owner's name?
Yeah.
40 Baum Street, Harrisburg. Yeah, I want to verify something. So Bridger Investment. So they bought this property. Remember, I told you they just bought it and they was selling it, right? So it could be a Chris there, you know. I don't know, but let's notice Potato Valley Road. Let me go back here and let's type in, what is it? 24 North 20th.
North 20th.
Harrisburg. Let me just see something. This guy might be wholesaling this house over to you, which is cool. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you could get a deal out of it, right? So you can see the address is different. So there's a couple of things you could do. You could go direct to the seller right here and probably get a better price, right? Or you could build a relationship with the other guy and let him make some money, and you know, he can continue to feed you other leads and stuff like that. So it just depends on how you want to work it. What would I do? I would probably work with the existing person that I'm doing business with and build that relationship, right? Everybody's got to eat. So you can see that they just bought this one for $40,000 on, maybe the ownership in the software didn't transfer yet. I doubt it, but they just bought it back in November for 40 grand, right? So that's why he's going to make money on. He's basically going to make 25 grand, which is fine. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with him making some money on the property. All right. So let's look at this real quick. I'm going to run some comps and see. Let me just see this real fast. Let me go back to the overview. And I just want to take a look at something real quick. The AVM. Let me move this out of the way. The Zoom thing. So this is the automated valuation model is what AVM stands for, right? Market value is 25,000 according to this. Assessed value is 25,000. So basically the system, what it does is it takes what they're paying taxes on. It says that's the market value, but that's not the true value of the property, right? What this is saying is that the value of the property is around $36,000, $37,000, right? We would have to verify that, which means that they overpaid for the property. And I think that's a little steep. I don't believe that that's the true value of this property. Now, how far is this from the other property that you guys were making an offer on?
I honestly don't know how far they are from each other.
Okay, that's fine. Another thing I wanted to ask.
I can look it up real quick if you give me the addresses.
I'm doing it right now.
Okay, so while you take care of that, another thing I wanted to ask. You see this zip code? Remember on our first training we pulled a certain amount of zip codes. The other property was located in a hot zip code. Remember? It was 17110. That was right within the zip codes we wanted to be in. Is this property in one of those zip codes as well? Remember what those zip codes were?
Yeah, I have them written down. I can check them.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Perfect. So that's a good thing. So with that being said, 30, I think let's look at what.
It's a 4-minute drive.
4-minute drive. Perfect.
Yes,
Perfect.
sir.
So it's right there. All right. So let's look at this now. And let's say, okay, 40,000. This is 95,000. This is on the same street. This is actually across the street. So that tells me right off the bat, this one is actually right next door, right? This one sold for 95,000. This one is probably in better shape. It's upside down. 19th Street. You got Chestnut all of these are, I'm just looking at these numbers here. It's probably investors buying these up, right? For this one to sell, this is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. So this house is probably worth right around at least 95,000. And this is 70,000. This one sold last month. Actually, 2-3 weeks ago for 95,000. So this is a true comp right here. That's number one. let's see. This one is 123,000. It's like it's like a block away. This is a good comp. Let me look at the square footage of this one, 17. This is closer. We're just looking for like and con. This one is a little larger than that house. I probably won't use this as a comp, only because it's, 400 square feet bigger. Really, that one that we have right here. So let's base our numbers off of this 95. Right? So 95. So that's $23 a square foot. You know that this one went for at least $56 a square. I want to see this house real quick. Let me just pull it up on Zillow. I'm just going to copy the address. And I want to pull it up on Zillow real quick, just so I can get an idea of what it looks like. One second. Let's pull this up on Zillow. Let's paste the address here. I just want to see what the house looks like. All right. So it's not in bad shape. It's actually it's in good shape. It's in really nice shape, right? Mm-hmm. So they put some work into this house. Yeah, this is a nice little house. All right. So 95,000 is a good comp, right? They're asking for 65,000 seller finance. What's the condition of the house? That's what we need to know. So we know that 95,000 is your number, right? Now here's the deal. If you're getting it for 65,000, even though that doesn't fall within that offer formula, the Mayo offer formula, remember I told you to always take, the after repaired value times 0.7 minus the repairs. Yep. It doesn't fall within that. 95,000, you figure it's going to be about 65,000 minus the repairs. It doesn't have to fall in that when you're doing seller financing, because you can pay a little bit more when you're doing seller financing because you're eliminating the bank, right? So if they're willing to do off of 95,000, if they're willing to do seller financing, this to me is a deal at $65,000.
It's actually a deal at 60,000. It's listed on the site for 65, but he said he'd do 60K.
Yeah, so even better, right? So that's even better. So 60K, that's a deal. So here's what I want you to do: get the contractor's estimate as soon as possible. And I'm gonna give you an overview of how we're gonna structure this deal. So here's just so you guys know what we're gonna do. Get a contractor's estimate as soon as possible. We already know what it's worth, 95,000, maybe 100,000 because it has an extra bedroom, right? So you figure it's really worth, you're really getting it for 60. That's a deal. You could probably get 70 to 75,000 for this particular property if you sign it with him at 60,000 with $10,000 down, right? We can wholesale the seller finance deal to somebody who's willing to go in and put in a little bit of work. So I need you to get a contractor's estimate as quickly as possible. This guy is moving quick. We got to move quick, right? And what we're going to do in the meantime, I want you to set up the appointment, Raven, and I want everybody else, I want you to, let's look at this real fast. The person that bought the other house on Balm Street, find out who bought that house. So go to the tax records, find out who bought that house. Also, remember I told you to pull up those zip codes. Do you guys have any friends that are realtors? No? So rather than going the friend route, use the software because it'll pull up cash buyers for you. So if you go to, let's say 17103?
Yeah.
Let me just pull up this list. This might cost you a little bit of money not a lot, but it's going to be worth it. So what you can do is you can, let's say, for example, you could go right here to where it says lead pipes premium. You can go down to where it says property leads, right? Once you go to property leads, right here where it says city, county, state, you can go 17103, select that, and then just type in, select cash buyer, click on done, and go right here where it says search, right? And you'll see that there's about, let's see how many leads come up, 514 leads. And then you can just simply go through these. You can skip trace them. You can add all of these leads to skip trace them right up here, right? So my leads, say you got 25, it's 514. I didn't select all. If you want to select all 514, you simply go back and select 514. Let me just do 17103. Let me click that. Let me hit cash buyers and let me hit search. You can go here and select all. You see that? So now you got 514 leads in the system, right? And then you can click on that and you can skip trace all 514 leads, right? So that's one way of doing it. Another way to do it, you see this where it says Keystone Services System. I would look for businesses. So let me just go back here real fast. Let me just type in the address 17103. This way you can narrow it down to the investors. So owner type, just do I would
a lot of LLCs.
A trust and a business, right? And then click on done and then click on search. 17103. And click on search, right? Let's see how many pop up now. This way you can narrow it down because most investors are going to be operating under a business. So you got 211, right? So if you skip trace this, you're probably going to come up with about 150 active. It's going to cost you about $15, right? But you'll have the information that you need for $15 for speed purposes. Then what you can do is contact every single person on this list. Say, hey, I see you recently purchased a house in the 17103 area code. This is PA Double Deals LLC. That's one. Progressive Retirement Solutions, probably not it, but Real Estate Development LLC. That's another good one. Gold Key Properties is another one. You know what I mean? You can Dreamland Investors LLC. These are all investors. You see that? Prestige, MN Prestige LLC, Strong Force Enterprises might be. This person's Najia Buzlama Property LLC. You can see all these property owners are popping up, right? So all you're going to do is spend the $15, get this list, and just pick up the phone and call everybody and say, look, I got a deal in 17103. We're selling it seller financed for $75,000, right? We need, $20,000 down and we'll finance the rest for you, right? Or we need, $15,000 down. We'll finance the rest for you. I want you to get it. I'm shooting for 20 grand so that you could give the seller 10 and you guys can have 10 and then you'll finance the other 5. If they're able to put $25,000 down, then you can clean yourself out of the deal. So think about what we're doing. If you find, number one, you're getting a contractor's estimate, so you know how much work the property needs. So you can convey that information over to the buyer if necessary. You just want to educate yourself on the property. So if you're getting a deal at $60,000, do the math, write it down. $60,000, 10%, $10,000 down. That means your mortgage on this property is going to be $50,000. Okay. $50,000. There's two things you could do. You could do what's called a slow flip, or you can assign this over to another investor. Let's talk about both methods. With the assignment, all you're going to do is collect $25,000 down from an investor, and you're going to ask $75,000 for the house. You see why we're doing that? Right? I'm leaving 25% equity in the house. So it's enticing to the investor, right? But also I'm asking the investor for a little more down. So $25,000. So out of $25,000, you're going to keep $15,000 for your pocket, and you're simply going to assign your rights over to them. The other $10,000 is going to go to the seller, and then the investor is going to have a $50,000 mortgage that they're going to pay direct to the seller. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You see the numbers?
Yeah.
So in this regard, how much money do you make as an investor?
15.
$15,000. You make 15 grand. Right? So that's one way to do this. Another way to do it is to stay in the deal and slow flip it. Right? So you can buy it. You can tell them that, okay, I'm going to buy this house. I want to close it within 45 days. I'll give you, you might have to borrow $500 from somebody. I'll give you an earnest money deposit for $500 for now. And in 45 days, we'll close the deal. And I'll come up with the other $10,000. In the meantime, I just need access because I plan on putting a tenant in here, and I want to have my tenant set before we actually close. All right. So that's another way to handle it. So then what you do is you go out and you ask for $90,000 for the house, or 95. You ask for market value. You could ask for 100,000, right? And you sell it to somebody who's going to live in the property. And there's two ways to sell it. You can slow flip it, which means you're going to seller finance it to them. So you seller financed it when you purchased it, and then you sold it through seller financing. They're asking for $10,000 down from you. You'll ask for $20,000 down from your person. So that pays you $10,000 up front. If your monthly payment is, let's say, $400 a month, you're going to ask for $1,000 a month or $800. So you're going to make some money every month on this house as well. All right. So that's one way to do it. Another way is to sell it on a lease option. So you say, look, I can purchase this property same way that we just discussed, except your exit is going to be different. You're going to sell it on a lease purchase to somebody else. Say, look, I need $20,000 down. You keep $10,000 up front, and instead of seller financing, where they're going to be paying off the house, you're going to lease option it at a higher price, say $1,000 a month, and then they're going to pay you the difference through a balloon payment when you have to pay the seller off. All right, that's just a bird's eye view. Don't let that go over your head. I don't want to confuse you, but for now, we could create a deal out of this. All you got to do is get a contractor's estimate, spend the $15, call up all of these buyers if you want to go that route. But let's go both routes, because you never know. An investor might come in and say, hey, I'll take that deal. Right. And that might be a good way for you to start. Right. If not, then we'll go the other route. We'll place some ads on Craigslist and say, hey, we'll find another buyer, who might be interested in putting down some money and owning the property. And then you guys will collect monthly checks that way as well. Everybody understand what's going on? Or am I talking over your head?
No.
This is an opportunity for you to make $10,000 to $15,000, or make $10,000 to $15,000 plus money every single month, plus back end money, and you sell a house. All right. This is a good opportunity.
I'm already skip tracing now.
Perfect. So that's $15 to get it done. Let's bang out these calls. Make 100 calls this week each. call up those buyers, get the contractor's estimates, and once you get the contractor's estimate, let me know. We're gonna make an offer to the seller and take it from there. All right, let's do this as soon as possible. Speed is your friend right now. Let's make this happen. All right.
Okay.
And I'll talk to you guys. Let me know once you wrap all of this up, and we'll do another call.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Sounds good.